Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with Jonathan from Convoy Home Loans. How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. I'm excited to be here all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I sometimes call these adult conversations.
hmm
We're going to have an adult conversation with folks who are self-employed, who fancy themselves aggressive users of the tax code, who maybe over the years have found creative ways to report zero or very, very little income. And I want to remind you that lenders want you to be bankable. And that means you need to have some bottom line income, at least in my opinion. As someone with an accounting background and doing lots of loans, how do you coach up self-employed folks to say enough's enough? You're being you need to have a little more bottom line. What do you tell them?
I think I just tell them, I usually just tell them the fact. For a lot of my high net worth clients that are self-employed, a lot of times they'll send me their draft of the return they're about to file, and I'll review it and let them know, hey, you may or may not be able to take more deductions depending on what you want to do. If you're
Right.
looking to buy, like for example, a new primary, right, which is the first, people don't really think about this, but if you're trying to buy a primary, you actually
Yep.
have to plan your taxes 2 years in advance for most
Yes.
cases,
Yes.
right? It's a 2 year planning period. It's not a 1 year planning period. I mean, it can be 1 year, but if you want the best terms, you're like, I want the best terms. I want the best rate. I want the lowest
Two
down payment, all
years.
of that. It's 2 years, right? So if you're looking to buy, let's say it's not next year, but you're trying to buy a primary residence in 2024, right?
Yeah,
Then you
you're
have to
right.
plan on how you file this year, right? At the end of this year. Um, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to because I don't know a lot of people that may make more money next year than they do this year, right? Or the previous year. Because even this year, a lot of people thought they were going to make more money and they ended up not making more money because of the way the market turned, right? So I think in terms of tax purposes, like obviously I'm not a CPA, so I'm not, it's not tax advice, but it's, hey, if you have a lender or someone you work with and you're about to file your returns, you're reconciling your books and doing all that, make sure you talk to them and be like, hey, if I file like this, am I going to be okay to buy a primary residence or do something in, a year or 2 years, right? I think that's very, very important, especially for a lot of people that got into the investing game the last year, because all they see on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere is write everything off, do everything, remove
Yeah.
everything, like make it zero, right? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they're like, buy a G wagon so you can write it off on your taxes, and it's like, you know,
Ah,
you you do all that, great if you want to do it, but at the same time, you should probably think about what your plan is, right?
yeah, no,
Not the right now.
yeah, no, I agree with this 100%. And I love the fact that you just remind people, right? You want to buy like you're self-employed, it's your thing. It's been working. Um, but you may want to buy your primary home and they're going to look at your tax return. And if that says zero or very little, you're not bankable, at least with the best rates, right? You can always go get probably something at 8, 9, 10%, but this is not what you want for your primary home, right? You want to go get an FHA loan or something like that. So again, I love the advice of, sharing a draft with whoever you want to use. Now, obviously you're part
hmm
of one rental at a time. I recommend you and Dustin and Convoy, but if you have a brother-in-law or someone else who's in the business, have them look at it because trust me, writing everything off and getting they're not tied together, right? So
Yeah.
you need a plan for this.
Yeah, and there are programs like you just mentioned, for us to be able to do 1 year tax returns or 12 months bank statements. Like those things work, right? But
They're not the
you a
best
lot of
rates.
yeah, exactly. There's always a trade-off. For me personally, being self-employed, I maybe for you too, actually,
Yeah,
Mike, it's
yeah,
for me, it's worth the trade-off, right? I've
yeah.
I've done the math. I'm like, I'd rather do the
I show
write-offs
more
and
income than
exactly.
probably most people would think. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be bankable, right? But
yeah,
um, for me, I'm willing to pay a higher rate to not have to pay as much in taxes,
sure.
right? But
Yeah,
everyone's approach is different. But you can't really make that decision if you don't plan now,
no,
and you you don't want to be put in a position where you're forced to be like, oh, I have to go bank statement instead of
No,
going tax
exactly.
return, right?
No,
So
this is they're so connected, and I can't tell you how many people, back to social media, the G wagons and all of that, they're
mhm.
not understanding that that decision or decisions like it will have ripple effects. People in this social media world don't understand the picture, your financial picture, your financial statement, right? I have to fill out a financial statement for all my commercial lenders every year. It's part of the loan. And thankfully, they're all roughly the same. So I do it once and, change the logo, but
You're also
it's,
not driving a G wagon.
I am not driving a G-Wagon. No. I'm not. Yeah, that's no, not, no. So again, folks, this is all part of the process. So again, if you are self-employed, debt to income is something you hear but don't understand. You want somebody to say, hey, this is kind of the box you need to be in. I recommend Convoy Home Loans. Any closing thoughts? If not, where can they find you?
Go to convoyhomeloans.com and let us know you're from ORAT on the selection.
There you go.
Yeah,
Jonathan, I appreciate you so much. It looks beautiful where you are. Are you in Southern California?
I am in Southern California. I'm actually hiding away outside, kind of in a secluded area.
San Diego, Orange County, where are you?
No, LA. I'm in LA.
LA. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.